Good morning. I hope you're all doing well. Today we have quite the agenda lined up here for us. It is a busy Monday morning, and today I'm going to be getting some computer work done in the earlier part of the day and then hanging out with the kiddos later on in the afternoon. Today at 6:30, Johnny and I have an appointment to go somewhere. We'll tell you more on that when the time comes, but I'm excited to spend today with you. I actually finished getting ready and I had my whole morning routine, and then I spent time with the babies and we had breakfast. It was a really beautiful morning, just getting to spend some quality time with each of them. So this morning was a really good morning because I woke up at the time I was supposed to wake up, made my bed, like did the whole morning routine early so that when Gabby woke up I was already done, hair, makeup done, like dressed. For me, it's really important that I get ready for the day as early as possible. When I do this, I feel my best and therefore I do my best. You guys have probably noticed that I keep my makeup and hair and clothes, my jewelry pretty simple yet put together, and that's something that I do every single day even if I'm staying home. So I really love dainty gold jewelry that's simple yet makes me feel put together. And so the pieces that I'm actually wearing today are from Ana Luisa, and I'm so happy to be working with them on this part of today's video. I've known about them for years and I really love what they're doing. They're a jewelry brand that is going above and beyond to create high quality and elegant pieces in an ethical and sustainable way. These are the ones that I'm wearing today. I'll do close-ups of the ones that I have. I've been wearing these pieces that I'm about to show you non-stop and I've really been enjoying them. I like these in particular because they're small. They kind of like hug your earlobe like that, but they look thicker, you know, so they make a little bit more of a statement versus the other ones that I'm going to show you that just give a different look. If I forget my earrings, my mom always says, "Where are your earrings, girl?" These are a little bit thinner, but they're still noticeable. I wore these for like 5 days straight. And then they have the same earrings that I just showed you, just in a larger hoop. And these are not too big, but they definitely give that statement, like gold hoop look. Look at that. These are like little sassy ones. I like them. These would look really cute with your hair up too. Now I'm gonna show you guys the ones that I wore for my 5-year wedding anniversary with Johnny the other day. I chose to wear these because they have little diamonds on it and kind of match my wedding ring, and they're just like a little bit more glammed up for the occasion. So these are the ones that I wore. Their pieces vary in range all the way from gold-plated brass to gold-plated sterling silver, and they even have solid gold. And if you like some bling like these, and they have other pieces that have diamonds, they have lab-grown diamonds, and they have the same brilliance and clarity as natural diamonds, so they are sure to sparkle forever. While I was looking through their website, I felt like a kid in a candy store because their jewelry is so eye-catching and it just resembled my personal style so much that I could see myself wearing so many of their pieces. I personally admire brands that stand for something good and of impact, and that's what they're doing, as they're setting a new standard of accountability for the jewelry industry. And I'm glad that they've allowed me to share this discount code with you guys. So if you're looking for beautiful, high quality jewelry that doesn't break the bank or the planet, timeless go-to pieces that go with pretty much every outfit for every occasion, whether you're going to school, church, date night, work, whatever you're doing, go ahead and check out their website and look through their pieces. I'm sure you'll find something that you love. This would make a really thoughtful gift for your mom. Mother's Day is gonna come up soon, for your sister, your friend, if you're a bride, maybe your bridesmaids, or you could just get them for yourself. There's nothing wrong with treating yourself to looking good and feeling good. So go on their website and pick out something you love. I'll leave the link below, and get yourself a 20% off when you use my code PriscillaD20. I do have an appointment coming up here. I'm looking at my calendar here, and that's honestly the only way I've been able to keep myself accountable to doing things and sticking to a certain time period if I block things out. I've been just learning a lot in the season of having 2 babies. That's like a huge part of my day. So I sit down every morning, and at night I try to plan out as much as I can into the next day. So this morning I just went through my schedule and made sure that everything that needed to get done would get done. And so yeah, I'm just gonna take you guys along with me during my day. Yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone in the world of God. I love you. Oh, you love me too. very productive day. I did a lot of computer work, which is why I haven't been on here. I'm just gonna get some of the kids' clothes in to the diaper bag because we're gonna be heading out in the next few minutes, and I want to make sure that's all done and packed away. But I just wanted to talk about our 5-year wedding anniversary that we just had. Yes, we have been married for 5 years. We've technically now, yeah, we've known each other for 7 years now. And Johnny and I went to get some brunch while my mom stayed with the kiddos. And 5 years it was a lot to kind of, I don't know, it was a little emotional for me because we started talking over brunch about our kids and everything that God has done in our lives in like all of these years, and then in this current season that we're in. And I just started getting emotional because when you've been with someone for 5 years, married in that sense, you have this very special relationship, this special bond, and you get to know each other in very specific ways. You also get to learn a lot more about yourself too, and learn and grow in different areas. So I wanted to share with you a few things that I've learned in my 5 years of being married. They may not be like earth-shattering things. Maybe these are things that you've heard before, but these are the things that stand out to me, and I just wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. And I hope to have this video to look back on when I'm 1 year older into my marriage, or maybe 5 years later, and I can compare and contrast what I said back then. The first thing that I could say is that has really worked for us is constantly serving one another, not worrying about what the other person can do for you, but what you can do for them. A lot of times people get into relationships with the mindset of what can you do for me, rather than the mindset of how can I best serve you, what can I do for you. And when you're both doing this simultaneously, and it's like an even give and take kind of thing, and not just one person doing it all the time, each person is satisfied. And it may not always be perfect, but that's where communication comes in. You talk about it and you say, hey, I'm not feeling like my love tank is full in this area, or whatever the case may be. But you got to talk about things and not bottle it up. Serve one another and express the needs that you have. That way the other person knows that you even have a need. That was a little hard for me at first because I'm someone that I don't want to bother. I don't want to ask for too much. I'd rather sometimes do things myself, and not just because I think I'm better and I can do things better. It's sometimes just because I don't want to impose or be a burden. And my husband really has, I think the 2 big seasons of life where I've learned that it's okay to ask is when I had both of my kids. When I first got pregnant with Gabby, I was constantly saying, oh, I'm so sorry to ask you for this, but I need this. And it kind of taught me to like exercise those muscles to ask for help, and then also asking in the right way, not waiting until I'm so overwhelmed and maybe I really need help. It's SOS 911. I need help, and then what actually comes out is this resentful, why don't you help me kind of like tone, and it's not good for communication, and then feelings are hurt and it becomes this thing. And so I've learned to be like, okay, let me serve you in the best ways that I can, and asking, how can I best serve you today? What can I do for you today? And kind of getting over yourself too, and that you're not that high of a person to do something that is an ask beneath your level. As a spouse, you're supposed to be there for your spouse. The other thing we've been really navigating through is being intentional, especially right now in the season of having little children, little babies. Being intentional with date nights and with the time that we use for working, spending time with family, all of that. The way we live is by putting everything in our Google calendars, and that way we don't forget things or double book things, and we can be intentional with our family time and our alone time. That means scheduling things out, like everything, as much as possible, of course. Earlier I said love tank, and that's my third point, is that learning how to speak your spouse's love language fluently and knowing your own love language is very helpful. Our pastor had this workshop that he did for a few weeks on the 5 love languages. It's a book by Dr. Gary Chapman, excuse me. And we talked about it in our podcast, but it's a book that goes over the 5 love languages. I would highly encourage you to go and go online, go on Google and find your love language, and have your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend, wherever you're at with your relationships, even like a mother, a sister, if you want to improve your relationships, find out what their love language is. And in this case of marriage, it was something that I had to learn for myself, and also learn what Johnny's love language was. And before we had kids, I realized that Johnny's love language was acts of service. And you can have more than one love language, and most of us have a little bit of each one, but the main 2 for me are, the first one being quality time, the second one being words of affirmation. And so I thought at first my top one was words of affirmation all the way, but then I realized that that wasn't the case, because I could get words of affirmation all day long and I wouldn't feel as loved as if I actually had spent intentional time with Johnny. And we realized this too when we were just spending a lot more time at our jobs than with each other. Ever since we've made the choice to leave our corporate jobs and work from home and start our own business, we've just done things very differently, and we've never looked back. So I'm very happy that we've been able to get to this point where we can talk to each other openly about our love tanks and be like, hey, I know we were serving one another today, we were doing a lot of work, we were, or maybe we went out a lot, but I don't feel like we actually talked a lot. Like, we work from home together, so we do spend quite a bit of time running into each other, looking at each other, talking to each other. But when you're looking at things from a romantic point of view, you also have to dedicate that time to have that FaceTime, and not just get to the end of the night and be like, okay, what do you want to watch, a show? And actually, for me, it's like having conversations, having eye contact, and just really getting that quality time, if that makes sense. The fourth one is no surprise, but keep God in the center of your marriage. That is something that we've done from the beginning. And a spouse can either deter you away, a spouse or a partner can either get you closer to God or deter you away from God. And we've made sure that we're not, getting in the way of our relationship with God, with one another. So with that being said, if quality time is one of the ways that I feel loved, I'm not going to force Johnny to stay home when at 10 p.m. he goes for his nighttime walk with the dogs, and he has this prayer walk moment with God, and he spends intentional time with God. And this morning he woke up before me, and he went downstairs. Of course I wanted to cuddle and be with him for a little bit, but I was like, okay, I know he's spending intentional time with God, and I do the same on my own too. And so it's also about supporting each other. If we both have this ministry calling in our lives, we're both youth pastors, and we're working together as a couple, and also we're worship leaders at our church, so we do a lot of serving together, and so I think because of that we're pretty much on the same avenue, we're walking down the same path, but we're also keeping God in the center, not just in a practical way of what we do with our lives, but in our spiritual lives. We pray together, we pray for each other. That's huge. Pray for your husband, pray for your wife. It's something that I didn't used to do enough of when I first got married, and now God has just given me discernment, and the longer that I've known him, the more I know that something's on his mind, that something is bugging him, or he's feeling down, and I can approach him and I can kind of sense that before he even tells me at times. So I pray for him a lot more than I used to. So that's something that I have taken away with me from this experience of being married to him for 5 years, and know that he does a lot for our family, and he does a lot for people in general. We just gotta keep praying for one another and keeping God in the center of everything, so that we can keep being the best that we can be for each other. Which leads me to my last point and my 5th point. I did not intend for that to happen. 5 things that I've learned in 5 years of marriage, but it worked out like that. And that is to continue to work on yourself as much as possible. Life comes with changes, and life comes with, you know, time passes, we get older, we get wiser, we get more well-versed at certain things in our lives. If we have babies, our bodies change. It's not about perfection, but it's about progress, and always trying to be better every day in every sense of the word, not just in the physical sense, but also in the intellectual sense, in the spiritual sense. You want to make sure, if we're talking physical here, yes, motherhood, it doesn't leave you always with the same body that you had back then, right? There are some weight fluctuations, there are some hormonal changes, there are some things that I've had to just deal with and healing, and but I'm not letting those things stop me and keep me where I'm at. I'm actually using those things to make me into a better person, to create better habits, to have better routines. In the mindset aspect of things, I would say that being better for that person in the sense of like being a better person to be around, and not be always so grouchy. I think that was my thing, was I would get very short-tempered and flustered and overstimulated, and then that would cause me to snap easier. For people that maybe know me in real life, they're like, oh, I wouldn't even imagine you snapping at someone because I'm nice and stuff. But when you get really comfortable with your husband, it's kind of like with your family. If you have a sibling or something, you know what I'm talking about. You can talk like very freely, and so you get comfortable, and then you realize you're maybe talking to them in a not so nice way. Maybe you're not you're like kind of letting go of the softness that you should have still around your spouse, as if though you were dating. And obviously it's never going to be exactly like when you first started dating, because you know that phase is such a like puppy love, butterflies in your stomach all the time, and you hit reality. But always like keep trying to, I don't know, not impress one another, because like that's not the word I'm looking for. What's the word? Always try to be the best person that you can be, and do the things that maybe you did when you guys were dating, to do something for one another. Don't get comfortable, get uncomfortable with just getting creative. If I can put this in a very practical way, we all get phone upgrades every now and then, right? And software updates that our phone does overnight. It's kind of like that. You want to keep upgrading yourself. You don't want to, and obviously this is like, don't take it out of context. Obviously like within reason, and keep the essence of who you are, but keep changing things in your life for the better, and keep growing in the positive direction. Now, question, what if your spouse is not interested in self-development or personal growth? Okay, well, let your actions speak for themselves. Start with you. If you want to see any type of modification, you don't want to change your spouse. You don't ever want to go into it like that, but you can say things in a gentle and nice way and say, hey, I think there might be a better way of doing this. How would you feel about maybe doing this or doing that? And just talking about it and say, hey, when I see that this happens, I feel like this. Is there any way that we can work together to improve this? Or is there any way that you could say this differently? Or is there any way that we can go in this direction? My camera stopped recording and I don't know where I left off, but I hope you guys got something out of that. And right now, it's actually the next day. We're getting ready to record a podcast episode. And then in a little bit, Johnny and I are gonna take the dogs out for a walk, it's nap time, so Gabby will be going to sleep soon and I'll get a chance to do some more computer work. But I wanted to end you guys with this and with an encouraging word, and it's kind of stemmed from the devotional that we're about to go over in our podcast. I'll leave the link to it in the description so you guys can find it, but it's the Seen, Known, Loved devotional on the Bible app.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's pray.
Let's pray.
Want to lead us in prayer?
Yes. When we think of quality time with others, often we think connecting through an activity, a heart-to-heart conversation, or a common experience. Perhaps you are in or can get into a physical space where you can do something to connect with God in a tangible way. It starts there. It's so small. That's something we do pretty much every day. It allows you to pray for that person, like for your spouse, in a very intimate way with God without that person being there.
Absolutely. What makes it a quality time spent is the intentionality behind it, right?
That's right.
Because if you look at a normal relationship, you will know very soon that just because you're next to someone does not mean you're spending time with them. Think about it, like if you go on a first date with the person that you're getting to know and you go to the movies and you don't talk the whole night, like how do you actually strengthen that relationship? It takes talking, it takes separating time to the side, it takes like looking at each other in the eyes, right? Yeah. So the relationship with God is not much different than that. You have to have intention behind it.
I have no idea where I left off at, but we're done with the podcast episode, and it was really a really good one. We talk about spending intentional time with God, and it was more, I think we titled it quality time with God. And this is something that I've been learning in this season, that it looks different. It looks different. The time that I spent with each person in my family looks different also. I've had to just really be a good steward of my time and time blocking. That's why in my schedule I'm like being more intentional. I have my computer over there that I was just working on my schedule, because I know that this is an area that I'm constantly growing in. If you are struggling with like, where is the time going? How am I supposed to do all of these things? I'd say just start with time blocking and putting it down on a piece of paper, or for me, it's a Google Calendar, and that's what works the best, because I also get my phone notifies me when I'm getting close to my next time frame. So just like today, I've been going from appointment to appointment. And at the end of the day, it's not about how much you can get done and like productivity. Where is your heart behind all of that? Because if your heart is not in the right place, if it's coming off with like a chip on your shoulder and you're getting things done just to make people happy, if you're just doing things just to get recognition or whatever, I would advise you to check your heart first, because that's where everything comes from. That there is actually a verse that talks about that. It says, guard your heart above all else, because everything flows from it. I'll leave the verse somewhere in here so you guys know exactly what I'm saying. But anyway, I leave you guys with that. Don't forget to check out Ana Luisa. I'll leave the link in my description. If you're looking for beautiful, high quality jewelry that doesn't break the bank or the planet, Ana Luisa is the way to go. And remember, you can get 20% off by using my code PriscillaD20 at checkout. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!